Hello, this is Mira from Project My Room. Today we're gonna discuss cutting your cords and how to measure them according to your design. So measuring our cords is usually problematic and cutting is usually dependent on the thickness of the macrame cords that you're using. Some tutorials ask you to cut certain lengths and you discover by the end of it that you don't have much left. So today we will do an experiment on a 5mm cord, and I do advise that you do the same. This will help you design your own pieces by discovering your own factors. The first experiment, I did a lark's knot, and then I marked the end of it using a Sharpie, and then I measured how much the knot took from my cord using my meter. So then I discovered that it consumed 18 centimeters. This means from every cord that you cut, 18 centimeters will be consumed by lark's knot. So I took my notebook. First thing I wrote 5mm, the thickness that I'm currently using for this experiment, and I wrote lark's knot took me 18 centimeters. For the next experiment, I decided to do the square knots. So what I did is I added a lark's knot to be able to do the square knots. I unified the lengths of the cord. So basically I cut them all half a meter. This step will help you find the factor that you should multiply with for any length that you are working on. So now I'll speed up the video. I will do a whole column of square knots. So I stopped the work because there was no extra ropes to work with. What I will do now is I'll measure the work area that I have created, and I had 88 centimeters of square knots using the half-meter cord. So I added this to my notebook. Every half-meter of cords can do 8 centimeters. Now let's find the factor, taking into consideration that not all the cords were consumed equally. Actually, the middle ones were not touched at all. So to do the factor, I will apply the ratio and proportion method. So what I've done is I wrote 8 centimeters, they need 50 centimeters. Now for 1 centimeters, how much would I need? I multiplied 1 times 50 over 8, and I had the factor of 6.25. This means for any working area that I've decided to work on, I have to multiply times 6.25. Next, I will do the spiral knot. I'll do the exact same steps that I've done before. So I'll speed up the video so you can see what happens next. So I took the measuring tape and I measured the area that I have created, and I had 6 centimeters. Taking into consideration that the threads were not consumed equally again, I wrote down this note, spiral knots. Each 6 centimeters that I work on will need half a meter of cords. So to do the factor, again, I did the multiplication and I had a factor of 8.33. For my next experiment, I decided to do the double half hitch knot design. So it was one of the very problematic knots at the beginning of my work. So I've decided to do a very small design but dense. So you can see me doing double half hitch knots as X's and circles. So I'm done with my design, and I took the measuring tape and measured the area that I have worked on, and it was 6 centimeters. So I wrote down for double half hitch knot designs that are small but condensed, each 6 centimeters of work need half a meter of cords. And when I did the factor again, I had 8.33. So I had this question, what if I did a double half hitch knot design, but it was bigger and had more spaces in between? So let's take you to the next experiment. So I decided to do the geometrical pattern using double half hitch knot design. I did the work until I couldn't work more on it, but I've discovered that each 13 centimeter needs half a meter of cords. So basically the factor was 3.8. Now I know you might be asking yourself why we're doing this. This will definitely help you design your own piece. I'll explain how. So I drew a stick, and then I did 2 spirals left and right, and the rest of the cords will be hanging down from the design. So if I want to work with 40 centimeters for the spirals, and I've decided to have, for example, 50 centimeters of cords hanging. Using the experiment that I've done earlier, now I know that larks knots usually take 18 centimeters. So I wrote down larks, and then I wrote down 20 centimeters. I added 2 centimeters. And then you have the spiral work that I will be doing for my design, which is 40 centimeters, right? So I'll take the 40 centimeters and I'll multiply it by the factor for spiral knots, which is 8.44. But when I multiplied it here, I used 8.4. I had this number, which is 3 meters and 36 centimeters. Now, because I know there will be also hanging threads, which I've decided here that they will be half a meter. All in all, I will need 4 meters, 6 centimeters. It's a good idea to add a little bit of margin, for example, 20 centimeters to your desired length. Most probably, I'll do my cords 4 meters, 30 centimeters. So 430 centimeters all in all. Because this is a very simple design that contains 1 knot, I'll be explaining another way of doing it in a separate video. But now we'll move to a more complex design where you have, for example, 2 knots together. So I decided to add an inner layer of square knots. So you see me here drawing squares. And then I'll be adding left and right a double half hitch knot to the design. My threads will be hanging half a meter. So I've decided that the design will be 30 centimeters and threads will be hanging 50 centimeters. This is considered a more complex design because you have 2 knots together. The first factor for the square knots is 6.25, and the double half hitch knot factor is 8.33. It's a very good idea to use a median in here, or like an average. So I did 7. 30 times 7, which is 210 centimeters. I have to add 20 centimeters for larks. You will have 230 centimeters. I will also add 50 centimeters for the hanging cords. All in all, you have 280 centimeters. Most probably I'd be cutting the cords 3 meters long. Now, when we are doing simple designs such as the spiral knot, because it's a basic knot and it's one knot, as I said, I would be cutting my threads 4 meters and 30 centimeters. This is assuming that the length of the cords will be the same. But there's another way. Now, if I know that the inner threads will only be 130 because there is 40 centimeters of work, 50 for the hanging cords and 24 larks. It's 110 centimeters. Now, if you take the 4 meters and 30 divided by 2, for each cord you will have 2 meters and 15. 2 meters and 15 minus 110, you'll have extra of 1 meter and 5 centimeters. So you can use 325 centimeters instead of the 400. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and it was informative for you. Thank you for watching.